Welcome to the Cricket Badger IPL Daily Podcast 2021. The Indian Premier League 14th edition. It's great to have you with us. From the first match all the way to the final. Chennai Super Kings, Delhi Capitals, Kolkata Knight Riders, Mumbai Indians, Punjab Kings, Rajasthan Royals, Royal Challengers Bangalore, Sunrisers Hyderabad. May the best team win. Brought to you in association with Who Knows Wins. Put your money where your mates are, and play along with the Cricket Badger.
Hello everybody, we're down to 3 teams in IPL 2021 who've seen Chennai Super Kings get through today by the skin of their teeth in the end against the Delhi Capitals, a last over thriller. Tom Curran bowling to the mighty MSD finding some form and finding that he has got a middle of the bat after all, and crashing a few boundaries to see CSK home. To talk about all of that and more, I'm joined by Sam, Abhishek and Rito. Rito, I'm going to start with you, if I may, because before we get on to today's game, I want to say congratulations, Kolkata Knight Riders. Mumbai Indians, my team, have gone. I gave you all of that grief the other day, but well played.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Kolkata, obviously, we talked about on the other podcast, it was due for a couple of years now, Kolkata getting through to the playoffs.
You can't finish fifth every year, can you? You can't finish fifth every single year. Sam, good to have you on the video podcast. Good game today, wasn't it? I mean, Delhi Capitals came into that game, I felt with a lot of momentum. CSK had no momentum. They'd lost 3 matches on the bounce. And you feared for CSK. If they'd lost today, going into the final qualifier, having lost 4 on the bounce, that's not great health to be in. But today, they did really well.
Exactly. I think, they had the CSK didn't have the momentum at all. Even Dhoni was not playing well, their lead finisher. And, Delhi, of course, they have a good depth in the batting and their bowling looks sorted out. And I was not really expecting CSK to come out and win like that. But, I still feel CSK was lucky there.
And MSD, he said himself, I think, during this tournament that he's struggling for a little bit of rhythm and a little bit of timing. But that little innings towards the end there will do him no harm at all, will it? Because, like I say, he's finding the middle of the bat regularly. A nice little ping, the usual MSD ping.
Definitely, James. He's a legend. I mean, he knows how to keep his temperament in a big game like this. And Tom Curran, he was bowling exceptionally well. The last 3 overs, he bowled some really good cutters. He was really bowling well, but MSD being a legend, he kept his nerves. He didn't let the previous form get the worst of him, but he did come out and play a very sensible finisher innings.
We've almost written him off on this podcast, or I have. Anyway, as we've gone through this IPL 2021, we may have to revisit that a little bit as we go through today's show. But Abhishek, good to see you again. And as I say, CSK, they needed that today, didn't they? I mean, they've got bags of fans over there in the UAE. You see the yellow shirts around the ground. They needed a win today to really kind of restart their campaign after 3 defeats.
Yeah, absolutely. The last 3 games have not been very good for them, right? So I think this game was pretty important for them. And also, we talk about the record against DC, right? So they had lost both of the games, right? Like the last, right? So even if they would have lost today, right, and still reached the final via qualifier 2, right? I think they would have, nobody wants to go in with the 3-0 record, right? I think it was a great win, right? And especially with DC, with the bowling line that they have, right? Making a 170 score, right? And then CSK chasing it down, right? It doesn't get better for them, right? If I remember, the total ground was looking like it was like a chipok, right? It was pretty yellow, right? So I think it was a great day for them. At the mid innings, I didn't expect CSK to actually chase it down, right? With the kind of bowling lineup that DC has, right? They are actually good. But I think one decision that I don't know what Ponting and probably Pant were thinking about, right? Putting in Tom Curran, nothing about him, right? Personally, but I was very amazed by that decision, right? Directly bringing in Tom Curran, right? And changing the side has done pretty well till now.
Funny, Abhishek, you say that, because there was a little discussion before the 18th over, I think it was, when Avesh Khan and Kahisa Rabad were involved with a chat with Rishabh Pant. And I looked at Kahisa Rabada's body language as he walked away there, and I thought, he's not bowling the final over here. And obviously scroll on and over, and you see Tom Curran being handed the ball. And I just didn't see that as being the right decision, Abhishek. And that you'll all be able to bear witness to this. I actually said that ahead of the over rather than actually after the over. I think I put on our WhatsApp group, Rishabh, what are you doing or something? Tom Curran, exclamation mark. Just didn't seem to me, Abhishek, to be the right choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with you over this point, right? That, we have to agree that Tom Curran was pretty good, right? He has bowled 3 overs, very good, right? But whenever you're dealing in such situations, right, that you can see the exact case when it comes to Dhoni, right? A lot of people would have not expected him to come, right? It would have been Bravo or Jadeja, right? But he backed himself, right? Because he has been in the same situation for years. Same thing goes with Rabada, right? Because if I remember, there was a ODI, right, in which Rabada defended 9 runs against MSD in 2015, right? So he has already done it one pass. And if I have to say it, right, probably I'm not a decision maker, but on a day where Rabada would probably have done 45 runs in 3 overs, right, versus Tom Curran with 3 overs, 10 for 3, I would have gone for Rabada, right? I don't know. Also, I think Avesh Khan's performance, I think, was not at the same level, especially since that last ball 6, right? So giving both 19 and 20 and not even giving a single to Rabada was baffling to me. I don't know what was going in one's head.
Rito Claire's come on, our regular, and she said crazy decision to bowl TC in that last over. I mean, I was listening to Rishabh Pant's interview post-match, and he was saying it was a decision because Tom Curran had bowled the best of his seamers during the previous 19 overs, so he trusted the man who was having a good night. But I think I'd tend to agree with Abhishek. You know, you got Kisa Rabada, who's good at the death as well. Tom Curran can be good at the death, don't get me wrong, but he's got a very mixed record in the 20th over of matches. Did you see it the same way that Rishabh did? Rito's frozen in a very angelic position there, isn't he? You pick up that same question, Sam.
Yeah, I think I definitely. I mean, I would have not really gone for Tom Curran, but like Abhishek was mentioning, Kagiso Rabada is a proven player. He's a proven match winner, and Dhoni actually did struggle to him, like you mentioned, in that ODI match. And if Kagiso Rabada would have bowled, I think we would have definitely had a different decision because Rabada is someone who knows to keep his nerves. And Tom Curran, giving away 2 boundaries, you saw him bowl a wide. So you just can't go with someone who's having a good day, but someone who has that experience. And I think that's what lost the game for Delhi Capitals today.
You're running in and you're bowling to Mahendra Singh Dhoni, whether you're Tom Curran, whether you're Kisa Rabada, whether you're anybody. He might not have had the best tournament that he's ever had in the IPL, but he's quite a presence to have 22 yards down from where you're delivering the ball, isn't he? Knowing what he's capable of.
Exactly. I think but I'm guessing Tom Curran might have taken it easily because he was not sticking to his plans. He was not bowling in that wide Yorkers, which he should have, and he was not bowling deliveries that way he can hit in the longer boundaries. He's not sticking to his plan. But anyone who's bowling to MSD will definitely have the thought in their mind. I mean, this guy is the best finisher in the world, so everyone would have that in the back of their mind, and that can really hurt their confidence for sure.
Ruturaj Gaikwad, Rito, he's back with us. I can see him blinking. Ruturaj Gaikwad's having an incredible tournament, isn't he? Passed 600 runs in IPL 2021. He's passed 400 runs in the leg in the UAE, and another 50 plus for him today. He's really staking a claim, isn't he?
Yeah, he has been one level above all around him, really. Today's match was a peculiar match. It looked like all the players who had failed in the league stages, they just stepped up a level and were performing in today's match. You look at Shimron Hetmai, you look at Rishabh Pant, but Ruturaj Gaikwad is one constant who has just performed in all throughout this IPL, and he had an iffy start to his IPL career last year after his COVID-19 scare, but in this year he has looked pretty good prospect for Indian cricket.
Let's scroll back to the Delhi innings, Rito. 172 for 5, Delhi made today. Prithvi Shaw was explosive at the top, 60 from him from 34 balls, 7 fours and 3 sixes. And you've mentioned the other man that really contributed, another 51 not out from the captain, Rishabh Pant. A couple of one-handed sixes from him straight down the ground were quite impressive. I can't hit a 6 with 2 hands, let alone 1 hand off the bat. And then, as you say, Shimron Hetmai coming in towards the end to just add that little bit of impetus late on as well. I must admit, I can't remember if it was Abhishek or Sam that said they thought 172 for 5 was enough. I think it was Abhishek. I did too. I thought that was probably a winning score. Is Rito frozen again? I might have to take Rito off this chat in a second. I thought it was a winning score, Abhishek. You said that earlier. I just thought they got just a little bit, just enough. And even when CSK were chasing, it was getting to 2 a ball and just above. I thought DC was still going to win it then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 172 was quite enough on the pitch, right? And especially with the bowling lineup that DC has, right? I think DC bowlers erred a bit, right? Barring Nokia, right? I think the first 6 overs, right, when Uthappa and Rituraj were going berserk, right? I think they missed a couple of things. I think even the commentators mentioned it, right? That Rituraj has struggled against the short balls. In the last 2 times he had played, he was dismissed against the short ball. Not a single short ball was, placed to him, right? In this, especially on the DC side, which, boast themselves of express pace, right? On the slow wickets, right? They could have been, pretty lethal, right? So I think this is something that Delhi have to reflect from their bowling side. I cannot doubt, barring Shreyas Iyer, I don't know what he was doing in his that 8-ball innings where he scored 1 run. I think all the other Delhi batsmen nearly played their part.
Do you think, Rito? I think Rito's back with us. He's moving again. Do you think Shreyas Iyer's innings, Rito, was the catalyst for what I thought was an incredible performance by him in the field today? 2 catches, one of which was one of those little juggly things on the edge of the boundary, and then the run out in the towards the end of the CSK innings was a really. He absolutely haired towards the ball, picked it up one-handed, threw it in. Kisa Rabada, I don't think on the TV coverage got enough credit because he still had a lot of work to do there to catch that ball coming in, fired in, and to take the bails off. But I thought DC, for most part, Shreyas Iyer, probably the headline act, were very good in the field.
Yeah, DC, before the start of the game, they took a big gamble by playing only 5 frontline batters, and it paid off in the end for them. Although the promotion of Akshay Patel did not quite work for them, but Shreyas Iyer, probably not his most frequent innings for today, but he was phenomenal in the field. The catch that he took, Akshay Patel running in front of him, he could have really fumbled that one, and the run out. In T20s, they say probably fielders should give you 2 wickets in the field, and Shreyas Iyer, he did that today for DC.
Sam, Robin Atappa, 63 from him today from 44. I think I saw on the stats that it was his first 50 in the IPL for something like 22 innings or something in that region. Good time to get it, wasn't it?
That's right. The experiment that gamble definitely paid off. I was actually backing Moeen Ali to come and play, but Uthappa, he's been part of so many playoffs. He knows how to go about his innings. He planned well. He's been working so hard, the last couple of years. He's been very unfortunate, I believe, when he was with the Rajasthan Royals. He was not getting the right kind of chances. But today, MSD might have told him to just go and express yourself and play the innings that you want. And it did pay off. The gamble did pay off to them. And he played that, the season that he played in 2015 and 16. I got to see that Robin Uthappa coming and playing with so much of confidence, striking their best bowlers. And it was a great sight to see the vintage Uthappa coming back and playing that sort of innings.
It felt, Sam, I know you can have a degree of flexibility in a T20 match in terms of your batting order. You send in who you think is going to be right at the time. But almost felt with CSK today, they were drawing lots and winning a raffle to come in next. The batting order changed dramatically from what we've seen over the rest of the tournament.
Exactly. I was actually quite surprised when they sent Shardul Thakur, because you just had a wicket and, Shardul Thakur comes in, just being a pinch hitter, just go and just try to get some boundaries. He didn't stick along for a long time, but that could definitely got DC's momentum back. But you have such a good depth in their batting lineup. You can just send anybody. You can even send Deepak Chahar to hit a couple of boundaries. They have that kind of batting depth. But again, that during playoffs, I don't think you should really gamble because that really gave the momentum back to DC. If you had sent Moeen Ali, they would have finished even 2 overs earlier for sure.
Do you think the fact that they'd lost 3 matches on the bounce, Sam, had maybe played a part in that flexibility today? Because it obviously hasn't been working over the last few weeks. So let's change it. Let's try and up the ante and let's see if we can do it today.
Yeah, definitely, because being in top two, you have two chances to make it to the finals. Maybe they just want to try and gamble and see who can come and bat really well and at a certain position. It certainly did not work with Raina. He's been in poor form throughout the IPL. Maybe someone like Uthappa, maybe he can come and bat up the order. Maybe during the power play, just two fielders outside. Maybe he can hit some boundaries and gain his confidence before going into the finals. Maybe that would have been their option. But again, Dhoni's masterclass planning. Then he himself coming and hitting that was really good. Now I wouldn't have really expected Dhoni to do it, but again, fantastic game of cricket.
I get the impression there's probably 1.4 billion people in India, and it's probably almost the same around expats around the rest of the world. I actually felt the globe bounce when he hit that the winning run there, because I think there's quite a few MSD fans around the world. Abhishek, at one stage, CSK, I think they lost 3 wickets for 6 runs in about as many balls, 8 balls, I think it was, that run out. And I think it was a tapper, Shahril Thakur, and then the run out of Bhatti Rayudu. That seemed to be a really big moment for DC that obviously ultimately didn't capitalise on that. But when CSK look back at this match, having that stumble and still coming out the other end with a win is going to give them a lot of belief going into the final, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think whatever happened after the second time out, right? That 6 runs and I think 3 wickets, right? Absolute harakiri, right, by the CSK. But one of the things I think that they pride themselves, I think this is the 6th time that they are chasing, right, in the IPL, and they have won in the 6th straight trot, right? So they bat deep, right? They bat till 8 or 9, right? So I think this is something that gives them confidence, and especially in finals, the playoffs, in the finals, the big matches, the pressure things, right? When you have that backing, the confidence, right, that even if I go for a shot, right, and it doesn't go off, right, I have insurance in the bank, right? The likes of Bravo and Jadeja were not even needed, right? I don't think any other franchise boasts of such thing, right? So I think that's the confidence, but it's also not something to be proud of for the franchise, right? Because this franchise was pretty heavily dependent on their openers, right? Their openers were so fluent in the first phase that when they failed for 2-3 games, they lost 3 in the trot, right? So again, Gaikwad coming to the form, right? I think Fab was got a pretty good, I would say, a pretty good Yorker from Nokia, right? But apart from, I think they'll get a lot of confidence, but they will also try to see, right? Because I think if only one thing that you have to change about the CSK side is, right, probably that middle order, right? I think Dhoni did his part. It's back to the old years. Now it's just Raidu. Uthappa also did his part. I think probably Raidu is someone who starts doing and they become a polished side.
Rito, I was watching DC in the field. I got the impression that they were sending messages onto Rishabh Pant towards the end. You saw a couple of the 12th men bringing out drinks in the 18th, 19th, 20th over. The camera kept panning to the dugout where you could see Ricky Ponting, and he was pointing to field places and shaking his head and looking a little bit dissatisfied with the captaincy on the pitch. If I was Rishabh Pant, I would be really peed off by that. I would want to be the captain on the pitch. If you want to tell me stuff, tell me after the match, Ricky. Don't tell me during the 20 overs when I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing. Did you pick up on the same kind of thing?
Yeah, I think probably different captains look into that differently. Owen Morgan is one who doesn't mind feedback from the dugout at all. He rather appreciates it. So he has the feedback, and ultimately it's his decision on the field what to do. So it's no problem, I think, for DC. But one thing that Rishabh got wrong, probably not bowling his best bowler in the 19th over. The 19th over is the most crucial over. To bowl Avish Khan, I thought that was a mistake from him. He could have probably bowled Rabada in that over and left Tom Curran with a lot more runs in that final over. But given the way Tom Curran bowled that one, no matter, even if 36 would have been enough. But
I mean, with Avish Khan, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he's had a very good IPL, and you've got to kind of, I guess, show faith in the people that have done it before, haven't you? But it just didn't feel right today, Rita.
Yeah, it's T20 is a fickle game, James. You look at Tom Curran. It looks like he has the day of his career till now, till the 20th over, and it went wrong horribly for him. And Avish Khan, he has bowled beautifully so far, but 3 overs, none for 36, and then he still got a wicket, I think, in that 19th over. So it
The
came
first
back to
ball, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so he came back well, but still, I think Rabada should have bowled him. But looking at Pant's body language after the defeat, it looks like he has just gone. He can't take it, and Ricky Ponting and the coaching staff must tell him that they are not out of it. They still have another go in a couple of days' time against the winner of that eliminator, so have a lot to play forward to.
To be honest, though, Rito, if I was a DC fan and my captain was smiling at the post match conference after a defeat, I'd be probably equally as vocal about that. I don't think there's anything wrong with him showing disappointment today. But you're right, he has to pick himself up and move on and pick up the rest of the guys as they move forward. Just going back to the Ricky Ponting, Rishabh Pant dynamic there towards the end. Did either you, Sam and Abhishek, did either of you two pick up on the same kind of thing?
Yeah, I was looking at Ricky Ponting. He was totally devastated with how the field was, but I don't think that would have affected Pant. He's someone who does what he feels anyways. We've seen that over the past. He doesn't, even in the batting, he doesn't keep his temperament. He just goes and expresses himself. But definitely, I think once he goes back to the dressing room, I think Ricky Ponting and Rishabh Pant are going to have a long chat for sure.
I mean, it's strange. I mean, you've got Shreyas Iyer, Sam, that obviously is captain DC during this kind of cycle of the IPL. Obviously got injured. Rishabh Pant's taking it over. Quite rightly, I think they let Rishabh Pant continue through the rest of the season. But Shreyas Iyer's out there on the boundary as well, isn't he? He's probably as far away from Rishabh as Ricky Ponting is. So you could do with somebody a bit closer to a new captain in that pressurised situation, couldn't you?
Definitely, because when DC announced that Pant is going to continue the captaincy, I was really surprised because Shreyas Iyer, they were looking at someone on a long term, right, the long term captain, because they got in Gambhir so that they can help transition that leadership phase to Shreyas Iyer, and you do all that and you give someone like Rishabh Pant the captaincy. It was definitely an odd decision for me, but yeah, he had the momentum going on. He was leading his team really well. But again, it was a bit hard on Shreyas Iyer. It surely hurt his confidence. It shows off on his performance. But again, Pant, maybe he has to pick up his boots again, be confident with his decisions, and he has to work on a lot more on his captaincy. It's his first season as captain, but I think he's going to pick it up pretty well. He's a really smart cricketer.
Yeah, I mean that is the flip side, isn't it? Shreyas Iyer's role in this, because I really like Rishabh Pant. I think he's a dynamic young cricketer, massive future, obviously an intelligent lad, and as captain before. But Shreyas Iyer, who has led DC through the previous tournaments of this cycle, it would have been a bit of a punch in the gut for him, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely, because he was done. He did so well in the last season. He got his team to the finals, and this year, Pant was just being a temporary captain, and then after that, you don't get the chance. You're not getting that opportunity in the Indian side. You don't captain that side. You were promised to be a long-term captain, and it doesn't happen. So it definitely is a kick in the gut for Shreyas Iyer. It hurt his confidence, and let's just hope that next year. I want Shreyas Iyer to lead because I feel that he's someone like Rohit Sharma. He keeps his cool. Not making too much changes. He's very sensible with his decision. That's the difference between Shreyas Iyer and Rishabh Pant. Rishabh Pant makes some really fancy decisions, like how he gave Tom Curran rather than giving it to Kagiso Rabada. So Shreyas Iyer would have been really sensible in terms of field placements as well. But only time can answer who's going to captain the Delhi side in the future.
I think I wouldn't be too surprised if they don't retain Rishabh. And Rishabh's going to be captain in the future. I could quite easily see Shreyas Iyer ending up being the captain of one of the new teams or moving somewhere else to take over as captain. But we'll see how that pans out in the mega auction and beyond. I mean, a lot to talk about once this IPL's finished, and we've got through the final of this IPL, and plenty more podcasts, I'm sure, around the corner as we go through those auctions and the fallout from all of that, because there's going to be a lot of stories, I think, going through the mega auction into the next incarnation of the IPL. Abhishek, it's not cut and dry, is it? 2 new franchises coming in. There's going to be a load more players in that auction, players moving from one to another. We've got used to seeing players in yellow or blue or red or whatever their strip has been. And all of a sudden, we're going to have to get used to a completely different kind of dynamic next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this auction was going to totally change the way teams look. I think barring one or two people, right, one or two players that each franchise would have there in mind already, right. That I could say, for example, Pant. I think he would definitely be retained, right, by DC, right. But barring that, around 85 to 90% of the players, I think they will move into the franchise, right. But that's how IPL goes, right? Because if you talk about just an example that I always remember about Surya Kumar Yadav, right, was nurtured by KKR, right, but now a big mainstay in the MI team. Now we cannot imagine MI without him, right, without this guy. But I think that's the thing. It goes. There are a lot of things. How the retention rules come in, right? How the RTM comes in, whatever the new franchisees comes in, what's the stake, right? So it's going to be very, very fascinating, right? And it's going to change the IPL for the next 3 to 4 years, right? Because that was the new homes, the new fans, the new dynamics.
I'll tell you, I pick it up a lot on the TV coverage. You can hear the announcer in the ground on the PA trying to drum up the crowd. And it's a fairly sparse crowd because it's the UAE and there's only a certain amount allowed in. But he keeps doing all of the kind of, I say this and you say that. It's like me on here going, I say cricket, and Rito has to say badger in reply. He's quite an excitable fellow, Rito, isn't he?
Yes, actually, I've been to IPL games thrice in my life, and the atmosphere at the grounds in India is just ridiculous. There's songs playing everywhere. There's music. There's love. The cheerleaders are dancing. Even in today's game, I think it was a larger crowd than the group stage matches. So it looked a spectacle on TV as well, with all those yellow T-shirts, the cheering for CSK, and going into the later stages, later games, it looks like it's going to carry on the same way.
Well, I'm going to audition for his job now. I say cricket, you say
Badger.
Badger.
There you see. There you go. If you need me, IPL 2022, I am available. Let's have a look ahead to the game coming up around the corner then. Obviously, Delhi Capitals are going to be in action again. That isn't their last chance of winning IPL 2021. And to me, they have been the best side in this tournament. So it'd be a shame if they don't make it through to play CSK again in the final. But we'll see how that pans out. I'm just kind of filling at the moment because I'm waiting for them to scroll across the bottom of the screen until the IPL. Here we go. IPL 2021 remaining fixtures. Monday, the eliminator sees RCB taking on KKR in Sharjah. Then on Wednesday, we have Qualifier 2, where Delhi Capitals take on the winner of that match between RCB and KKR. And then the winner of that match takes on CSK in the final. So KKR against RCB. We've got two of you on this podcast today, haven't we? Rito, I've been dismissive of KKR. I apologise at the start, but that's where it finishes. I don't see KKR winning that much. Do you?
Yeah, I do see them proceeding to the.
Well, there's a surprise. Yeah, I mean, they have got momentum, it has to be said. But, I mean, so did Delhi Capitals. So sometimes momentum doesn't count for anything, does it?
No, even if you look at Kolkata's victories, James, they have defended targets, they have chased down targets. So they have done it the both ways. It's not that they have done, it has been only one-way traffic. They have only chased down targets like CSK, no. So Kolkata have got all the bases covered. Even Morgan has hit a 4 and a 6. So Morgan's back into form, James, and all the bases are covered going into the tomorrow's eliminator against Samson's RCB.
He has been a little bit dire, hasn't he, as an Englishman, with the World's T20 around the corner. Owen Morgan's form is a concern. Sam, I imagine you're going to tell me a different result from this match between KKR and RCB.
And definitely, RCB are going to win this. KKR might have the momentum. Even RCB has the momentum, but RCB has been consistent throughout. They've, our death bowling has been an issue for us over the last 5 years, but they've got that sorted. I think our death bowling has been winning us matches. We've been consistent, so I think RCB, if they keep their nerves on hold, I mean, if they keep the nerves on check, and it should be an easy win if they get their first two openers. I think it should be an easy win for RCB.
Virat is the man that's going to take all the headlines if RCB win IPL 2021, isn't he? His last season as captain of RCB. I know a lot of people on this podcast, including myself, are more than happy to see Virat Kohli lift that trophy just as a special moment for him. It's the one thing, Sam, missing off his CV, isn't it, really? He's obviously captain of India, had plenty of success, broken records with the bat, but his IPL captaincy record hasn't been the best, has it?
Definitely, James. We always go in with the tournament the best team on paper, but things really don't click either. If our bowling is good, our batters don't click. Even if our top order is good, our middle order doesn't come and click. So it's always been that way for Virat Kohli. The 2016 season, if you look at, I think they should have won it. But the luck is not on our side. Kohli has been a little unlucky, with throughout his captaincy with the Royal Challengers Bangalore. But I hope really that the team this year would give everything that they have to give Virat Kohli a perfect send off with an IPL trophy as a captain.
Who's the player just over your shoulder? I'm trying to identify him.
That's Virat Kohli. Yeah.
I thought so.
James.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Rita.
Samson has said his Lady Luck is not on the side; it's on KKR's side. Then
I don't, I don't think so. I mean, I just want Kohli to win this game. It doesn't. Luck factor is not luck factor is not something that Kohli believes in. It's something that he believes in. Hard work, and I hope that works out for us. I mean, team is working really hard. Let's just hope that they win the appeal this year.
Before I move to Abhishek and more neutral perspective on the encounter between KKR and RCB, there was that little video, I don't know if you saw it, Sam, came out from the RCB camp after being bowled out really cheaply. They got hammered, didn't they, by KKR, wasn't it, I think? So there's a little bit of revenge potentially there for RCB. But I really liked the way that Mike Hesson and Virat Kohli kind of fronted up to that and basically just said to the guys, we're going to get that as we go through an IPL 2020. This is to paraphrase. But we're going to get ups and downs. We basically just need to put that behind us, work hard for the next match and continue on. And that's exactly what they've done, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, Mike Heston and Virat Kohli, they were very clear about that. They said, you'll have to own your mistakes. Things didn't work out and that happens. And, even with the losses, you're supposed to learn what you've lost, right? I think that's been the headlines for the entire team. Even the loss against CSK, Kohli said, you guys need to own up. I mean, it definitely should hurt you. And I think that's a side of a good leader and a good coach, right? They make the team understand that you got to learn a lot from your losses. And that's what RCB has done. They've got the momentum. They won 3 matches in a row, and they won against Delhi Capitals as well.
Abhishek, then, come on, neutral opinion alongside myself as a neutral ahead of this game between KKR and RCB. A big match. It's last chance saloon, isn't it, for both of these sides? You lose this one, you're home, and you're out of this competition. If you win it, you've still got a chance of lifting that trophy. Who do you see winning it, Abhishek?
I think it's going to be a very, very close game, right? But I think that RCB might just nick it, right? Because especially the last game, right? Especially against what they did against DC, right? They won despite ABD and Virat not firing. That has been their perennial problem, right? The 2 people are contributing a maximum alongside Chehal, right? And they're not getting the support. Now they're winning games even when these 2 are not doing. I think this will give them confidence. Obviously, the last game that you talked about, that 90 run, I think that will still be in the minds of the RCB and KK. It's going to be a very close game, but I just think that RCB might just nick it.
Abhishek, you're horrible. Look at Rito's little face there. He's not happy with you, but Sam above him is delighted with what you've just said there. Let's just go back to Sam. If you're looking at KKR, what worries you most? Where do you see the danger? Where do you see their chance of beating you? You need to unmute yourself, Sam. Can you hear me, Sam? Oh, Sam's gone. Rito, I'm going to ask you the same question about RCB then. If you look at RCB squad, what scares you? What worries you? What frightens you about the way they shape up?
I think the obvious answer is Glenn Maxwell. The form he has been get Glenn Maxwell early, you have a great chance of winning the game. And looking even at RCB's bowling, Chahal, the way Chahal is bowling, and Harshal Patel obviously is the leading wicket taker of the tournament. So these are the 3 potential threats going into tomorrow's match. And the 4th one obviously is still hanging as AB de Villiers. You never know when that man will turn up.
I saw your team of the tournament, Rito, for the show you did with Knuckle the other day. And thank you again to Knuckle for jumping in every now and again on this course of this IPL 2021 daily podcasts. Dinesh Karthik is your keeper. There's a bit of KKR bias there, isn't there?
Yeah, if you look at how Dinesh Karthik has played, he has come in at the death and he has got some very important late runs. He has given the innings some impetus. So that's why I'm favoring, obviously, as a KKR bias, but that's Dinesh Karthik has done a job and he has a nice man, James.
He's a nice man and he wears nice shirts. So he's in my team of the tournament. Sam, did you hear my question to you before you disappeared on me? Would you
Yes,
like
James, I
to
did.
the what scares you about KKR?
Uh, Definitely their opening pair, because Venkatesh Iyer he's been a really good player. I mean, the way that he's played against all the top teams, he scored good amount of runs, and he's been scoring at a good rate as well. So someone like Venkatesh Iyer and Shubman Gill definitely worries me, and their mystery spinners. I think they've been the match winners for them. Both Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan. I think if it's their day, I think Royal Challengers should just buckle up and just go home. That's how good they are. Both Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan. That I think if we tackle them well and get the openers out quickly, and I think RCB should be in the driver's seat. But if these four guys actually get in their mind space, then it's going to be really really difficult for Royal Challengers Bangalore.
I just realised I made complete holics of that introduction, didn't I? We're not down to 3. We've still got 4 because Delhi Capitals haven't gone home. So we still have 4 teams in this IPL. Silly me. But we will have, after the game tomorrow, we will have 3 because either Sam's team or Rito's team will be heading back to the airport and heading on to either the T20 World Cup. Well, either heading to the T20 World Cup or going back to the airport. Abhishek, you're a Rajasthan Royals fan, aren't you? I just a word on them before we say goodbye today. They went. I described them as going out with a whimper. They were terrible towards the end. Were you watching between your fingers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a win and loss, I think there are two parts of the game, right? It's okay. But what the Royals did in the last 2 games, I think that was pretty shambolic, right? To say the least. You should have that will to fight, right? That even SRS showed, right? In their game against Royal Challengers, the last one, right? I think barring Samsung, the batting never clicked, right? Throughout the tournament. I think the loss of Butler was just way too much for them to compensate. I think Butler plays the same roles what ABD does for RCB. They could not compete for the team, and their young talent, right, Rian Parag and everything, they lost the touch that they had something of the last time. So I think big decisions for the owners, right? I think this was the last time that this particular squad was playing for the Royals together, right? And I think it's something for the management and the team to decide. But pretty shambolic to say the least. Even as the fans, I have nothing to defend them.
Before we go, I think Rito's answered this question before. I can't remember what his answer was, but if you were having a franchise, you were the chief executive of the franchise ahead of the mega auction next time, and you were going to pick your first pick. I think Abhishek, you might have answered this as well, did you, last time?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Sam, then I'm just asking Sam, if you had a pile of money, your first pick in the mega auction next time, which player would be the first player on your list to pick ahead of the 2022 edition?
Virat Kohli, for sure.
Well, you can retain him, I guess, can't you? Go outside of your bubble.
Definitely Josh Butler. He's a brilliant T20 batsman. I'll definitely pick Josh Butler. I really like that guy.
Be a good signing. Be a very good signing in white ball cricket. Maybe not in Test cricket, but in white ball cricket. Rito knows my views on Josh in the Test arena. Are you two around tomorrow, Rito and Sam?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll get you two back on after that game tomorrow for either your celebrations or your commiserations, and a handshake between the two of you as one of you says goodbye to us. But Rito, Sam, and Abhishek, thank you very much indeed for joining me today, as we have done for most of this IPL 2021. We will be back again tomorrow. We'll be talking about that match between KKR and RCB, and then we'll be looking forward to the final eliminator and the final of IPL 2021. And then we come to that final, and you all need to get your best ball gowns and tuxedos, because we're having our awards ceremony straight after that final, giving out our awards to the players of IPL 2021. So that is just around the corner. There's not too much left of this IPL competition, but plenty to talk about this week as we go through the last few matches. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again